Hello, everybody, or the one person that's here. I decided that I need to start streaming on Friday nights because dating apparently is not working out, and going out on Friday nights also doesn't make sense for me. So I was like, let me get back to doing some streaming. And I'm like, what should I stream about? I guess I could answer questions, but that's boring sometimes. So I was like, you know what? You need a new website, Paul, because you have Coding After 30 YouTube channel and you don't have a goddamn website. Well, the website I did have, I broke it. So why not create a project they could just work on and stream it? So at any moment, if you're jumping in, feel free to say hello, but I'm going to kind of like work on stuff while streaming. And if you have any questions, you can always jump in. And of course, Northern Chip, what's up? Great to have you here as always. Fantastic. Yeah, I decided to start streaming Fridays again for no apparent reason. Maybe because I'm single and I have nothing better to do. And it's better than watching Netflix, I guess. But I also decided, yeah, you know what? Let me work on creating and updating my site. So I'm gonna just start building my site Friday nights, and if anybody wants to, you know, participate and commit and work on it as well, they're more than welcome. And what am I thinking? I'm thinking I'm gonna stick with Strapi and Remix. So I think I'm gonna create the front end with Remix, and then I'm gonna create the back end with Strapi just because I'm lazy. And then I'm probably gonna host my images on Cloudinary. And then I'm going to use NeonDB for my database, and I'm going to host it on DigitalOcean. So we're literally just going to start from scratch. And so if you've never tried Remix, like Next.js is pretty awesome. Remix is awesome too. I think like server components is just such a cool thing. Remix currently doesn't support server components, and nobody supports server components outside of Next.js, which is crazy how Next.js gets to, or Vercel, I should say, decide what the hell React gets to do. But anyway, we're gonna start with Remix because what I like about Remix is that if you learn Remix, you're gonna kind of broaden your whole web knowledge. If you learn Next.js, you're just gonna get good at Next.js. But Next.js is pretty awesome. I also do Next.js at work all the time. So on my channel, I'm kind of like, let me refuse to do Next.js. But I'm actually literally recording tutorials on Next.js at work with Strapi. So no, we're gonna use Remix, Strapi for the backend. We're gonna try CN UI as our amazing CSS library. And what's cool, there's this service called V0, and obviously it's paid because it's Vercel made it, but you're able to quickly prototype stuff by telling AI to ask you to generate something. So here it generated a little navigation. So the goal today is to set up the basic project and maybe try to deploy something to DigitalOcean, to kind of have like the whole kind of general idea, your front end, your back end, and it's already connected, it's already deployed. So then it's just a matter of like creating and adding features. So that's where we're going to start. So I have a blank folder here with nothing in there. So we're going to start by starting with Remix. So we're going to go to the docs because docs is your friend. Quick start. I bet you could just do, yeah, npx create remix at latest. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to run npx create remix at latest to start this process. And I'm going to call this front end because it's going to be my front end. Initialize new get repository. No, not yet. Install dependencies 1 p.m. Sure, sounds good. Dependencies are installing. So excited. And if you have anything you want to ask me in chat or not, you can go ahead. A lot of people ask me like, Paul, like, how come I can't leave a comment? Well, because you're probably not a subscriber. So a lot of these live chats I do because I just want to talk to people that already subscribe to the channel. Is it fair? I don't know, but I'm much rather give something that my subscribers could benefit. So now that we have Remix installed, we could CD into the front end and go code and open. And we could have our front end be what, yellow color. No, I want peacock colors. Let's do yellow for our front end. And so, what's up, Dev? What are we building? I need to build a new website for Coding After 30. And I decided that Friday nights, I don't go out because you know me, I'm single. Nobody wants to go out with me. Or maybe I don't want to go out with them. So I just want to do something productive. So I actually want to build my Coding After 30 website. I used to have one, and then I just neglected it. So this is what the current state of my website. It says, oh no, Elvis has left the building, and so that this app. So I decided, let me just start from the beginning. And of course, I'm going to do Remix. And so we just spun up a Remix application. And we have file-based routing. We have our index route here with like some basic stuff. And so I'm going to actually start the project by running yarn dev so we could see what it looks like when you just have vanilla Remix. And it's basically not going to be anything exciting. Let me just kind of open up here. This is just the basic stuff. So now we want to add some styling to this. And so we want to use Tailwind, I'm assuming, and Chat CNUI because everybody loves it. And I kind of like it too. It's pretty good. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go into Docs, Installation. We're going to hit Remix and going to follow the steps. So start by creating blah, 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 blah. I wonder if I have to install Tailwind first. Yes, I do. So we're going to start init Chat CUI at latest first. So I need to move this because this is not where I'm working, but I don't want to close it because that's part of something else that I'm working on, and I just whatever. So I'm gonna stop the project, and I'm gonna do npx chatcn/ui at latest init. This is gonna do some magic. Tailwind's not installed, and didn't I just say maybe we should have Tailwind installed first? And I'm not sure why they put the Tailwind installation step afterwards and not before. So I'm going to do Tailwind Remix and just go to Tailwind. And here we'll walk through the process. So first, let's install Tailwind. After we install Tailwind, we want to initialize the config by running Tailwind init ts. So we're gonna do that as well. Boom. We're gonna do that. So now if we look at our code editor, we should have tailwind.config.ts installed. Yeah, perfect. So next we need to update the config.ts file with this little snippet here. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste it in. And yeah, and if everybody has anything that they want to ask or talk about, anything, I could code and talk about anything, even nothing related to anything that I'm actually doing. So if we're building we're gonna try to build my new website for Coding After 30 because I figured I should have one. And so we're using Remix for the front end. Our data is going to be stored at Strapi because I'm lazy. And then right now we're just installing Tailwind. So we installed Tailwind. Wait a second. Hold on. That's not where I was looking to run. So now we need to create Tailwind.css file and paste this stuff here. So let's go ahead into our app folder. We're going to make a new file called tailwind.css. We're going to paste the Tailwind stuff in there. And then next we need to actually import our Tailwind styles and link it to our Remix application. So we're going to copy this import and this link function. So if we go to the root of our project, we're going to see that we are doing something else for CSS, which we're not going to worry about. And instead, we're going to use our Tailwind. Let me make this smaller because it's too big. So now what we're doing is we're importing our Tailwind file that we set up. We are importing our style sheet, and in theory, like our tailwind should be set up. So if I go to index.ts and let's say instead of this, we're just gonna do class name, and let's say background, was it slate 500? I don't know. I'm 500. Is that like a tailwind? Yeah. So now our background in theory should be a different color. So let's run our application, yarn dev, and then we install Shed C UI, because yeah. So see, tailwind works perfect. Look at this. This is great. Isn't this app amazing already? I mean, we're making so much progress. So next thing we want to do, now that we have tailwind in our remix application, let's continue with Shed CN UI. So we created the project. We need to use npx Shed CN UI init latest, whatever that command says. So I'm going to stop the server. I'm going to run it. Now it shouldn't complain because we have Tailwind installed. Would you like to use TypeScript? Yes. Default? Yes. Slate? Yes. Where's your global CSS located? It's in app global CSS. Is that where we saved it? Let's see it. We're in app folder and we have Tailwind CSS, not global CSS. So let's do app at tailwind.css. Click enter. Would you like to use CSS variables? The answer is yes. Are you using custom Tailwind prefix? No, we are not. Where's your Tailwind config.js located? Tailwind config TS. I think it's in the root of our project, right? So it's app right there, tailwind config.ts. So let's do tailwind.config.ts. Configure the import alias for components. Because we're using remix, it's not going to be the @ sign. It's going to be this one. So we're going to say and components. I wonder if, hold on a second. Yeah, components. That sounds good. Components to spell it correctly. @libutils. Again, we're going to do @libutils. Enter. Are you using React Server component? Unfortunately, no, because we're using Remix. And write configuration component. Yes, sounds good. And in theory, everything should have been successful. So if I run yarn dev, nothing should break and nothing should seem too different, except we should have, let's see here, in our app, we have our components folder and we have our lib with utils folder that's created. So what's cool about Shed C UI is dev's asking, is it going to be a blog? At some point, yeah, I think I'm going to add a blog to it, of course, as well. But I just wanted to give myself something to do on a Friday night. So this is going to be it. Yeah. And so I think I'm going to do a blog. I think I'm going to do a lot of cool things with it. I'm going to keep it going. So great. So we have Shed C UI. So the cool thing about Shed C UI is that you're not using a library, but you're literally using npm to install components directly to your application. And we're not done with the setup. We actually still need to install Tailwind auto prefixer. So let me copy this. We're almost done, but I'm going to show you what I mean. But you're able to literally install the components direct to your code base. So that way, if you have to modify them in any way, you could definitely do that. So and again, I'm just following the documentation. So now we need to go to post CSS, or we have to create post css.config.js file. So let's go in the root of our folder, new file, post css.config.js, and then we're gonna go ahead and put that in there. Set up, and then we need to update our remix config .js file to include Tailwind and CSS. So let's go ahead and do that. So remix config.ts. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Do this. This should be good to go. Let's see what else we need. We already added stuff here. Yep, Tailwind is connected. So the cool thing here with Chat-CUN UI, for instance, like if I want a button, you just npm install the button. So I'm here. I'm gonna do npx Chat-CUN /UI latest, and then you do add command and the component you want. We want button, and it's gonna go ahead and install the button. And if we take a look inside our code base under app, under components, you now have this UI component, and you have like the whole button component. And what's awesome, like you could of course instand it by adding the class name variable, but you could also directly modify the code base, which is kind of cool. So now we have our button. And so if I want to use my button in my code, I could go into my routes index.js file. Let me just remove all the ULs, and I'm going to add that button. Click me. And that should be coming from import button from components UI button. So literally from within our components UI folder where we directly install that button. And so let's take a look, and boom, look, we have our button. It works. Isn't it pretty? So now what I want, we have the basics of our next Jesus Christ Remix application running. So what I want to do, because now that we're using Chat-CUN UI, what's awesome is that they have a lot of cool components that you could take a look at. Like you could see an accordion, you know, you have your alert, like dialog boxes, you have all the stuff. But if you've never tried, and it's a paid service eventually, that does have a free tier, but you're able to use V0 as by Vercel. Of course, it's going to charge you money, but you're able to tell AI components you want to generate, and it'll generate. And what's awesome, because the person who created Chat-CUN UI works for Vercel, so this generates really nice Chat-CUN UI components for us. And so what I'm able to do is I'm able to almost copy and paste stuff. So we're gonna give it a shot. And of course, since this is Vercel specific, by Vercel, it's using Next.js code here, but React is React. We'll just modify it accordingly. So we're going to go and create a new component, and because we have our UI, which is going to have Chat-CUN UI component that's specific, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it custom. So I know that's my components. And I'm going to create new file, and I'm going to call it top nav. And a lot of times for like React components, I'll use the camel case like this. We'll do TSX, and we're going to import the stuff here. And we're going to, first of all, we're going to erase this. We don't have link in Remix from Next, but we have link component from Remix. So we're going to import link, and then it's going to be from at remix React. So that should work. Again, for Remix, you got to use this doohickey. So now we need to install all these items here, like navigation, menu link, navigate, blah, 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 blah. That's coming from navigation menu, which is coming from Chat-CUN UI. Again, let me make this smaller. Do you have a design? No, I don't have a design yet. I'm just going, I'm just trying to lay like the groundwork from just the basics, and then eventually I'll think about it. But I'm gonna make this project like build in public, and so anybody who's watching, if you want to like make PRs, help with the design, do whatever you want, you're more than welcome. So the Remix link, actually instead of href, it uses 2. So let me like kind of change that here. Let's find all the hrefs and replace it with 2. So it stops complaining. And then now, since we're using Chat-CUN UI and we're getting navigation menu, we need to install it. So I'm going to stop the the server, and I'm going to do yarn add navigation menu. I believe that's correct. And it's going to go ahead and install all those items into my code base. So when I run yarn dev in our code base, we should see inside our UI folder, we have navigation menu that's coming from shed.cun UI. Just got to fix the import because we're in remix land. And so in remix, you don't use the @ you use the squiggly thing. All right, so stuff is still complaining. So, oh, I see here. So navigation menu link. That's kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious if under the hood it's used. What the hell is it using? I think it's a normal link component. I'm assuming navigation. No big deal for us, because what we could do is we could just probably take the navigation menu link and we should just use the remix link component. I'm just assuming here, but we'll see if it breaks. So that starts complaining as child link. This kind of, let me just delete some of this stuff here. We don't need all the items because we're gonna make it dynamic. So let me kind of back up here. We're gonna have one nav link item for now, and then I'm gonna delete all of this other stuff for now, just so I could get it working. Props, man, TypeScript always like complaining. Specify a different type. Are you kidding me? Like React has, let's see that works. Thank God for Copilot. Of course, it's gonna say it should be namespace excluding markers, prop components read only. I'm actually just learning TypeScript, so hold on a second. Let me think. Is it read only? No. You know what? I'll come back to this. When in doubt, you could make everything any. I'll just keep this right here. I have this also thing called error lens, which like if you're using TypeScript and you want to hate your life because you want it to point out every stupid thing that you do, get this extension, error lens. It is fantastic. But anyway, we're not gonna go too crazy here. We just want the top navigation not to fail and kind of work. So I think this is kind of gonna work. So link at remix navigation triggers. Did I delete that? Probably. Duplicate identifier. Oh, I see what it's doing. No, we want link from remix react, and this is declared, but its value never read. Let's not worry about this right now, because I just want this to show me some sort of navigation so we could feel like we're making progress. And again, I got this navigation from the service v0, where you could say create a top nav and AI will like generate some stuff for you, which is kind of cool. So see, like, who needs programmers if you could just use AI to generate stuff, right? Except at the end of the day, I mean, look how, what is this? Thanks, AI, you did an amazing job. Like, this looks so beautiful. This looks slightly better. But yeah, like, so I'm just kind of playing with the service to quickly prototype stuff and not to worry about it. So I had a previously generated nav, which kind of looked okay. So let's see how it looks. Let's go import it into our root. What the hell did I call it? Top nav. Top nav. I should probably call this top nav. Top nav. By the way, like, bunch of people tell me like, don't use default exports. I forgot, like, there was a good reason for it. I don't remember exactly, but I'm gonna start just using export for my stuff now. So let's go into root, because we want the navigation to show everywhere. And right before this outlet, we're going to import our top nav from our components. And then eventually we could make this dynamic, meaning like our database could decide what items to display in the top navigation, but I just want to show something. You know, I can't complain. Hold on, let me go back, clean this up a little bit. Go into index. Let's delete this class name. Who cares? We're going to say welcome to Remix. We're not going to worry about the button. So now we have our basic nav bar and we have our basic application. So at this point, like my front end, it's not done, right? But it exists. And so once we have something that exists, it's great. It's a good start. And so right away, it's probably good to deploy it. So I'm going to go into GitHub. But actually, you know what? I'm going to have one main repo for both my front end and back end. So I'm actually going to go ahead and set up Strapi first. Then I'm going to connect the two apps together. And then I'm going to deploy everything if I have time today. So our front end works. Fantastic. So now what we're going to do, we're going to create a backend because I'm too lazy and I don't want to create a backend code in my Remix application from scratch. So we're going to use Strapi. You could just click the Get Started guide. I'll tell you a bunch of stuff that you need to do, but all you really need to do is run npx create Strapi app at latest. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what I'm going to do here, dude, my screen, like, I don't know what the hell. Hold on a second. I got this weird monitor. I need to buy a new monitor that it never crops stuff. Like, it just cuts stuff off the screen. I want to make sure that you can see what I'm typing. So I'm going to do clear. So it's at the top. I'm going to run npx create Strapi app at latest. And we're going to call it backend because it's going to be our backend. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to ask, do we want custom manual setting or quick start recommended? Just start with quick start. It's going to just start your app with SQLite. Who cares? When we go to production, we'll do Postgres of some sort of stuff. But what we want to do today is just make a very simple connection between our front end and back end and then try to deploy both projects. So that way we kind of have a flow outline in the most general basic way where we have our front end deployed, our back end deployed, and then the rest of the stuff is just adding features, which will be good. And yeah, and if you have any questions, always ask. But I'm going to start doing this every Friday night. I'm just going to start working on building a website for Coding After 30. And after today, I'll have a repo. So if people want to commit or work on it together, just see the codes as an example, you're more than welcome. So once Strapi starts, you're going to be asked to create your first admin user. So I'm going to do Paul Bratz. And I'm going to do Paul.Bratzlavsky. I can't even spell my own name at strapi.io. Monkey1234. Right, very secure password. Doesn't matter because this is local on my computer right now. So here we set up Strapi. And so I want to create like the most simple thing that's going to pull data from my Strapi app and deliver it to my Remix app. And in my Strapi app, we do have this navigation. And so we could say that we could probably have like a global page, which could have our navigation and footer information. So let's go ahead and do that. So, and again, I'm not going to build it out too crazy. I'm just going to do the most simplest thing just so we could get something. So I'm going to go under content type builders and I'm going to create a new single type and we're going to call it global. And this global is going to be responsible for our like footer and header. So I'm going to click continue. And what we're going to do, we're going to create a component. And this component is going to be called top nav. You know, why not? And we're going to create a category called layout, create, and then we're going to configure our component. And we're going to say top nav. And it's going to be a single component because you're going to have one top nav. So why not? And now we're going to add few fields to our component. So I'm just going to do it really quickly here. If we take a look at our, what the hell did my front end go? If we take a look at our front end here, we have our logo, we have our links, and we have our get started. So I'm just going to do this little text logo, super simple, so we could have some data that we could pull from our back end. So in my Strapi application, I have too many windows open. We're going to create another component. And this component is going to be called link. And our link is, we're going to create a category called elements. Configure the component, and our link, we're going to say logo link. It's going to be single component. And our link element is going to have text. For the text of the button, then we're going to add another field. Again, text, and we're going to call it href, which is going to be the actual link you want to do. And let's create another field, and it's going to be a Boolean, just in case, like you might have internal links to your app or you might have external links. So we're going to say it's a Boolean, and we're just going to say is external and click finish. So now we have our top nav. It has our basic logo link. We could add a bunch of stuff afterwards, but I just want to have something simple that is already ready to go. We're going to click save. Once everything is saved, we could go to our content manager, and notice now we have our global page, and we're able to add the top nav. And our top nav, when we click on it, we have a logo link, and I'm just gonna say remix and Strapi, and href is gonna be just that, and this external, we're gonna say false and click save, and we're gonna click publish. And you're like thinking like, this is nothing special. You're right, there's nothing special, but check this out. If you go to settings and you go to roles, all the collection types and content types we create, we now have that endpoint that is accessible to us. So we have global here. We're gonna, by default, everything is turned off. So if we want to be able to find it, we're gonna click find. So if we navigate via Postman to app/API/global and click save to save it, we will be able to get our data. So let me open Insomnia here. And then I'm gonna go localhost. Let me remove this and click send. Boom, we're getting our data. But you're like probably saying, bro, you said we're getting data. We ain't getting shit, because we have the logo link, we have the top nav and the logo link. You're not getting it. So by default, Strapi doesn't just let you get all the data. It's similar to, like, this is REST API, but it's similar to GraphQL in the sense that you have to specify the items that you need to get, so you prevent overfetching and underfetching. And let me look at the comments if anybody has any questions. Nobody has questions. Fantastic. And so what you need to do is you need to tell Strapi kind of what you want to populate. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in our docs, Strapi query builder. And so I'm going to go to interactive query builder, and the interactive query builder lets us write our stuff in this object notation, and then it'll convert it to a query string, LHS syntax, which is a nightmare to write. So we're going to use this builder. So let's take a look in our application first. Our endpoint, let's go to settings, roles, just so global. Our endpoint is API@global. So I'm going to go back to my query builder here. If a lot of this stuff is confusing, like don't worry about it. If you have questions, you could ask. So now what we want to do, if we take a look at our Strapi application, and I just love Strapi, so I always do with Strapi stuff. So if you don't like Strapi, there's nothing I can tell you. except it's awesome. So what we want to do is we want to populate our top nav, and we want to get our logo link. And one way you could do this, you could use the populate tag, and you can use array notation and pass the things that you want to get. So we want to get logo link, right? Logo link. And we want to, from that logo link, get, I lied to you, we want to get top nav and then logo link. So we want to do top nav dot logo link. And so give us this query just to test, but inside our Remix application, we're going to use QS library and we're going to use the object notation. So what I'm going to do, but just to show you in Insomnia, I'm just going to paste that in. So API global populate, we want to populate top nav and logo link. And when I refresh, notice we're getting our data. And what's awesome, we have a working API that took 2 minutes to set up literally, and the rest of the time is just me talking about nonsense. So what's awesome is we have a working API and endpoint. So now for tie our most bare bones backend to our bare bones Remix application, we're going to go ahead and create a folder. We're going to call it new folder, and we call it API. And inside the API, we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call it loaders.server.ts. Whenever you in Remix you say loader.server, that file will always run on the server. And so what we want to do here is put in our logic. You know what? I'm going to rethink this a little bit, but we could refactor later, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. And for brevity, I'm just going to use a snippet from a project that I already have here. So I'm going to copy this. And I'll walk you through the code here in just a second. So inside the loader, and we don't have this utils yet. I'll copy and paste. We didn't install QS library yet. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to have this function called fetch data, to which we're going to pass a URL. And we're going to make a fetch request to that URL, and it's going to give us our data from Strapi. So let's fix it. So first thing we need to do is we need to import QS. If you never use QS, it's a cool little library, npm QS. It basically allows you to write stuff in object notation, like here. And I'll show an example. And it will basically parse it to query string. Basically, instead of like I was showing you in the previous example, where we were writing this crazy query string, like I don't want to constantly use this query builder or learn LHS syntax. I just want to have an easy way of being able to write it as I wrote it here. And so that's what QS allows you to do. So, and we'll show you. So first thing we're going to do is let's go to our CD. Let me open another one. So new shell, new tab, CD coding after 30, CD front end. So now front end, let's add yarn add QS. And then it's probably going to complain because we're using TypeScript. So it's probably going to expect QS types. So I'm going to go ahead and do at some point when it does its thing. I thought my internet was faster, but it's not. Once QS is installed, did it like install everything? And now I'm gonna clear, and I'm gonna do yarn add types QS to get the types for QS. And now I'm going to run yarn dev again to start application. So now I got to be in the right folder. Okay, so it's complaining because we're not using it. So now I'm going to do const query just as an example. And I'm going to use QS stringify. And so instead of writing that LHS syntax, I'm able to just use this object notation for what we wanted to do. Okay, so that's fine. Fetch data is never used. That's fine. So we're going to make a fetch request to our URL. We're going to get that JSON response. And Strapi, that's hilarious. Because LHS syntax is a pain in the ass. And so we want to make it simpler. Just use QS like I showed. So let me just fix this. So Strapi, by the way, here, I'll show you here inside. Notice, so like when you get a Strapi response, you get data, ID, attributes. And if you had nested items, it would again be data, attributes indefinitely. And so I have this function called flatten data, and I have it in my previous project. So I'm just going to copy and paste it, but it flattens the response to make it a little bit nicer. But all it does is just basically flattens the response to where we use. So I'm going to go to a previous project just because if you already wrote code once, there's no point of like trying to rewrite it. So I'm just going to copy this. And inside of my project app, we have a lib folder, we have utils folder. I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. So I'm going to export my flatten attributes. So now let's go to our API loader.server.ts file, and I'm going to import flatten attributes, and that's coming from lib utils. So that should stop complaining. So now we can open this up. Again, I really hate Errorlands because it constantly shows me these errors. So that's fine. So what is this complaining though? Data is not available but never used. What are you talking about? It's not used. Are you all seeing this? Look. What's up? What's up, Brad? Good to see you. Just straight chilling, you know? That's what you get when you're single and nobody wants to go on a date with you on a Friday night. But to me, like I get to like just focus on building stuff. I actually haven't streamed in a while. And by the way, Brad also has an amazing YouTube channel. You could check it out by YouTubing Brad Garapy. Let's say if you go to YouTube. And actually, I do want to get him on a stream because I love chatting with other developers because they're cool. I'm going to say dev. I misspelled your name. There's a P in there, but look at this handsome gentleman right here. So I know not a lot of people watching this, but if you are rewatching this stream, go ahead and subscribe to his channel. I'm already subscribed, by the way. Nor is that. I subscribed yesterday. So anyway, so this is what are you talking about? Look, data, and then it's being used here. So I don't see why the hell it's complaining here, but it's fine. It's probably VS Code having a heart attack. So I wanted to create this general function to fetch data so we could like reuse it, but now we could do export async function. Async, I can't spell to save my life. Function, and we're going to call it get global data. Why not? You know, like sometimes VS Code will be like, let me help you out here, and it's not quite helping me because the Strapi endpoint that we want to hit is actually going to be API/global. And then let's move this query that we have here. move it here. What the hell is going on with my VS Code? Like, check this out. Base URL is not being used. What are you talking about? It's being used right here. I think I need to restart VS Code. QS is defined but never used. I'm pretty sure QS is being used right here right now. So VS Code is just having a heart attack right now. Loader TS, API loader server TS. This should be fine. This shouldn't be complaining. Import QS, import lib, base URL, Strapi URL. If it doesn't exist, use localhost. Dude, I'm kind of, hold on a second. I'm just curious. What is happening with my restart the server? I know, like, it's just stupid VS Code. I'm gonna like literally restart VS Code also because I'm just kind of curious. Oh my God, I have too many things open. So let's start VS Code first. And look at that, like magic, it stops complaining. Oh, nice. Command Shift P. That also works. Let's run yarn dev to restart our front end. Wait a second. I have too many things open. I don't want to close this window because it's a different project. Next.js sucks, although I use it at work all the time. No, Next.js doesn't suck, but Remix is pretty awesome. So on my YouTube channel, I'm going to do everything with Remix because I do too much Next.js at work and sometimes you need to take a break. Let me move this here so it doesn't bother me here. So yes, we have our fetch data function. We created get global data function that's gonna make a call to our Strapi endpoint, and in theory it should return this data in theory, because every time I do something, stuff is just always never working. So we're going to populate our top nav with our data here. So we're going to use a loader function within the root.tsx file to get what we need. Dev, thank you. And let me tell you, it's not out of context. I mean, I'm not saying I hate Next.js. I mean, I can't complain about Next.js. I just love React, so Remix, amazing. Next.js, Vercel sucks, but Next, I guess, is okay. So we're going to do export function. Actually, it should be async. Inc function loader. And then our function could actually return whatever data that, like, new date. I'm just going to say test. So our function could, whatever it gets, it will return to our front end. So the loader function runs on the server. So if I do console log here, loader, you're not going to see this console log in the browser because this is running on the server. So this is why you see the console log here and not in the browser. So if I want to use the loader data in Remix, I'm able to do const data equals use loader data, and you would be type, if you want to like extend the types, type of loader, and that's coming from Remix React. And I guess spelling const makes sense. So if I console log data, you're going to see that it's going to show, it should show data. It should show test here. Except I have weird stuff here. So now, let me go ahead. See right here, boom. We have data and it's getting whatever I specified here in the loader. So now what we're going to do, we're going to do const global data response. I mean, I don't know what I should call it. And we're going to await. And we're going to use whatever the hell I created here, get global data. So we're inside root.tsx. So we're gonna await get global data. Let's import get global data. Import get global data. It's coming from server/API get global data, I think. No, where's it coming from? API loader server. Yep. And so we're getting our get global data, which is going to make a call out to our Strapi API running on localhost 1337, and it should return our data. And it probably will. Let's see. Let's do console log global data response. Let's see. Error connection can refuse localhost. Sometimes I have a weird issue with my Mac, and I don't know what the hell is happening. Like, look at this. Like, it's gonna say connection refused. But what if I do go to where the hell we are? Index. What if I do 120? Oh, wait. No, forget I said anything. You know, like, is Remix better than XJS? I think so. No, I mean, Next.js is good. What I'll say about Remix is if you learn Next.js, you're just going to get good at Next.js. In my opinion, if you learn Remix, you're just going to get better at dev in general. And I stand by that statement. But the reason why right now we're having an issue is, look at this. This is my front end, right? It's running. But I didn't restart my back end. So if your backend is not working, of course, it's going to have issues. Yarn, hold on, cd backend, and then do yarn develop. So now it should not break because in theory, our backend should be running and our Remix app is running. And so now, hold on a second. Let me move this screen here. So we have our application here. This is hard-coded right now, but we're just trying to get this name here from our Remix app. And we're setting like very bare minimum stuff just to be like, show the connection from our front end to our back end, let it work, and then we'll focus on deploying the stuff. So what I like to do is set up the bare minimum app as possible and deploy it. And then once everything is done, you kind of have this good kind of feedback cycle between something that's already exists, that's already deployed. So then it's just a matter of creating new features and adding stuff. So, all right, let's take a look at our root.tsx. Perfect. Look at this. We're getting our data. And so whenever you want to return data from Remix, they have a good helpful function called JSON. And what it does, I'm just going to return global response. It adds all the response headers and all that stuff automatically. And that's coming from Remix run node. So JSON. So if I import it, it should stop complaining. Oh, it's not a type. You jerk. You jerk. We're going to fix it. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. We're going to fix it right now. And then we're going to do this type like this. And so it stops complaining. And so now it should work. That's fantastic. So we're calling our get global data from Strapi. We're getting our response. We're returning that response. And you could do try and catch and all this other stuff. We'll get that later. Right now, we're just going to work like the basics. And let me refresh my application here. It crashed. That's very common. Things crashing all the time. Let's restart. maybe it'll crash again and then we could troubleshoot. Okay, it didn't crash. And notice here, now in our component, we're getting our data, which we could see in our console log. So notice we have our top nav with ID. And so what we could do here now, we know top nav exists. So to our top nav component, we could pass, I guess I'll say data. And we're gonna pass data.topNav. It's gonna complain because it's expecting some sort of TypeScript, I'm guessing. So we're gonna go to TopNav, go to definitions. Here we could create a little, I suck at TypeScript, I'm still learning. So if anybody has tips, please reach out. And I'm just gonna paste this in. And this ID is gonna be a string. No, it's gonna be a number. Logo link. Top nav interface. Top nav number. Logo link is gonna be an object and it's gonna have an ID, which is gonna be a number. Then text is going to be a string. Actually, like this should be like this, right? Not a comma. I don't. ID string. I'm always confused. String href is going to be a string. We'll clean it up. We'll figure it out. It's late. And when I say late, it's not that late. Is external is going to be Boolean. Boolean. Am I like... Hold on. Property number only refers to type, but is being used as a... hold on a second. Do I have all the closing brackets? We have... Dude, I always confuse. In interface, is it a comma? Or is it a... Dude, I'm doing something stupid here. It's fine, because my brain is frozen. It's missing something. Hold on a second. Let me get... There's missing brackets here. So ID, number. Okay, we're missing brackets. Let's try this again, everybody. Okay, so it is a comma. Logo link is not a string. It takes an ID. Yes. Yeah, no, you're wrong. You are wrong, Copilot. ID is a number. href, string. Then it takes text, which is a string. And then we had is external. External. And that's Boolean. And in theory, if I do data, did I call it top nav or data? Jesus Christ, I don't remember. Data equals top nav props. And it's gonna say it wants it to be read only. I think I could do this. I think. And then in theory, you should be able to do read only. I gotta like really think about TypeScript. I will fix it later. The lazy way is like this, read only, which is probably fine. TypeScript is okay. TypeScript is a pain in the ass. That's what it is. Anyway, so now that let's console log our data. Console.log our data. And let's go back to root. So TypeScript's not complaining. We're passing our data that we're getting from our loader, which is coming from our Strapi backend. And let's go to our, I have too many things open. Let me close a bunch of stuff here. So I'm kind of curious why it's not showing the console log here. That's kind of obnoxious. Let me refresh. Oh, my app crashed. Let me see if anybody has any smart comments. I would have said. Oh, read only. I gotcha. I would have said also data at top net props. Yep. Dude. Yeah, TypeScript is. I got a long way to go with TypeScript, but you were saying read only. I don't know. I gotta look into TypeScript more. Because I think read only. So that works. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I second guess myself. So now we're getting generics and all. Yeah, I gotta look into all that stuff. Like right now, I'm just starting like the super basic. It's just like define basic interfaces. So my next step is to learn more about generics and all this other stuff. So now we are getting our data. We're getting our logo link. So now what we could do here, we could do, we could actually do structure. We could do const. We could do logo link. This is the part that I find annoying with TypeScript. Hold on a second. So we're getting data. Wait a second. I don't want it to have like that double data. Like that's just like, I get so we don't have, hold on. What does this looks like? Let me go back here, refresh. It's fine. The structure logo link. Of course. Wait a second. Fucking. So data read only top nav. So why is it, this is kind of curious. So if I go data dot, let me do console log data dot top nav. I think like does not exist on type. So then you need, so where's the second data coming from? Top nav. So this is the part that freaks me out. So I don't want to show that extra data. Hold on, let me refresh. Did my app? No, it's still, something's up here. Why is it saying it should be top nav? Wait a second. So we don't be passing that. Let me do this. Let me just, this is going to be stupid, but I need to do it for my own personal pain. Data, but I don't want it to be like twice. So then let me try this. Hold on a second. Like you were saying originally, read only top nav. Yeah, see, this is where TypeScript confusing the freaking daylights out of me. So like the way Brad recommended was the way to go here. And so now this should be data dot top nav. What the headaches. I bet my response has the extra data here, which is, no, it shouldn't. So if you go to root, data any is not assigned to instruction. Where's it any? Hold on a second. We getting. Let me look at stuff here. So we're getting data. Okay, so I see why. So let me destructure this data because I think I have too many datas everywhere. You got to take a step back. No, that's fine. So no, we're getting data that top nav. Let me see here. Yep, so that works. That we have the logo link. So we're passing data dot top nav here. And then we go to, dude, I really, top nav. I think I do have to destructure it. It's all right. TypeScript is going to be the death of me. And then we should have, based on what we're getting here, logo link. But logo link does not exist. So top nav, logo link. That makes no goddamn. So data. Dot. Let me see how it looks like. Let me do data.any for now. Dot logo link. That makes no sense. Why would that work? We have top nav. Oh no, I'm an idiot. Big idiot sometimes. Let me see. Yep. Yeah, sometimes I'm just a big idiot, basically. But I figured like the more I mess around with it, the more it's gonna make sense. Fucking generics. Mark the prop as read only. I guess it doesn't work that way. I guess I have to do read only this way. And I'll look into the documentations later. Apparently that's the way it is. So anyway, that was a nightmare of messing with TypeScript. Makes it go fast. TypeScript makes it go fast if you know TypeScript. But if you don't try it, how are you going to learn it? So anyway, so we are getting our data. We're getting our logo link. And our logo link should have href. Yeah, now we're getting our amazing autocorrects. Yeah, perfect. So now what we're going to do in our link here we're gonna say, we could actually destructure it. We're gonna do const logo link from data, and here we're gonna say logo link dot href, and then here we're going to have logo link dot title, logo link dot title text. Perfect. My God. But at least we know it's working. So here's the cool thing here, for the few people that are still here. We are getting our top navigation name that is stored on our backend, which is our Strapi app. So here, if I just say remix and click save, when we go to our next, and our remix app, fucking next gives me a headache. See, it works. So now what we could do is we could add additional items to our top nav, which we could do right now very easily. Maybe we could do that. Or we could deploy our application. I'm gonna go ahead and actually just go ahead and add a few more items here, just because, why not? So in our content builder, we're gonna go back to our global. We have our top nav, which has a logo link. And then to our top nav, we're going to add another field, and it's going to be a component. And we're gonna call it nav item, I guess. Actually, nav item, single item. We're gonna use an existing component that we created before, which is our link. We're gonna call it nav item, and it's gonna be a repeatable component, finish. And so now I'm able to add additional links to my menu. So now if I go to Content Manager Global, notice we have our logo link, which is this link here. So now we could add home, pricing, and contact. So I could now go create another link. I could say home, and then this is gonna be home. Is it external? False. We could actually set it default, but I didn't do that. What else we have in our nav? Let me do this. We have our pricing and contact. So let's go ahead. Pricing. That's going to go to pricing. And then external false. Add another one. And then we're going to have contact / contact. And it's going to be false. Save. So now we have our nav items, and inside our remix app we have to go to our loader server.ts. Here we need to specify the things that we want to populate. So we already populated top nav logo link, so now we want to populate top nav, and we called it nav item dot nav item. So that way I never have to worry about underfetching or overfetching. So now let's console log what we're getting. So under root.ts, where we're getting our top nav data, look at this, we're getting an array of nav items. So now what we could do is go inside our top nav here, go to definitions here, nav menu list, nav item. We could probably like delete that and delete this, and then we could create a component here, function, and call it nav item. And right now we're just gonna not worry about the type scripting, and it's gonna return our navigation components. And let's see here. So now we got our, we probably will have to type it, but nav item. I can't spell. Let's just console log nav item. Nav item. Sometimes like chat, whatever. Where's my front end application go? So refresh. So here's all of our nav items. Yeah, we have to type in, but we're not gonna worry. So now here we could do, we're just gonna do something really silly. If nav item and we're gonna do nav item map. We're gonna do item and index. And then we're going to return our nav item component. Nav item component, key index. And that's gonna take item, and we will fix the TypeScript in a second. Index, I think, is the number. Chain expression is more concise. Chain, stop. Chain expression, more concise. Just relax here. VS Code. So item. So yeah, we do need to. So let's do top nav props. Nav item props. We'll say yep. Nav item props. Nav item props. So then we could do nav item is nav item props array. So here that means we could do nav item props using optional change expression, easier to read. I don't know how it's easier to read, but we'll just say now type key number, key instead of this more using optional chain. Where's this message says? Nav items from not assigned to type interesting attributes. Key number, so index item, nav item props. Index. You know what? Let me not worry about index because we have item has the item.id. So we could use that instead, but it's still complaining because we're here. So for now, we're gonna fix this, but I'm gonna say nav item, read only item props. So that fixes that. It's still complaining. Prefers using an optional chain expression to make it concise. I don't know if that's concise, but is it telling me to do something like this? No. How's that more concise? That's not even concise at all. My error lens is going crazy. But anyway, so the good news is that our nav, it's dynamically generated from our Strapi instance, but we're just not writing the data, so we could do that now. So if we go to our component here, do console.log item, just to kind of see what we're working with. Notice we have an ID, we have href is external. So now what we could do is we could do const href and text item, and then here we could do our link to href, And then here we define our text. And then, you know, everything else we could always fix. We could always refactor, like get it to kind of work and then refactor. I think that's my motto. And so, yeah, I'm not getting TypeScript perfect all in due time. But what's really cool now, check this out. We go to our content manager and we have home, pricing, and contact. So for our editors, if they need to add an additional menu item, they could just do it from Strapi. They could go, you know what? We need to add another thing. And we'll say home about. We need an about page. So we're going to go about. And then we're going to say external false, save. And so now when we go to our Remix application and refresh, look at that. We have our about page. So granted, when we click on any of these things, they're not going to work because we need to create those pages, which we're going to do later. Or we could do it now so it doesn't crash our app. We could go under routes, app, routes. And I think we could create a new file. Oh my God. I freaking hate the fact that at work I have to use too much Next.js that I get confused with my Remix stuff. So let's go look at the docs for a second. Remix run docs. Let's go nested routes. Yeah, user. Yeah, it's here. We gotta use blah 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 blah. Yeah, so we're going to do rename pages dot, and it's gonna be a page slug ID dot tsx, and for now we're just gonna do very basic component RFC. We're gonna call it page slug route, whatever. And in theory, this should not fail because now our URL is gonna match. But I say in theory a lot, and stuff always breaks. So let's take a look and see. Let's see here. So let's go to our application. So now if I go to home, it's fine. When I go to pricing, it still breaks. Contact breaks. So I did something wrong with my, oh no, I know why, because I did pages. So, God damn it. Because I don't think you're able to do like a dynamic route inside index. So what I need to do to fix this is go into my top nav and do something like this. And so now it should be pages, contacts, what have you. Because I want the pages to be dynamic, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Because I don't want to hard code those files or those names, because we might have multiple pages in this application, and I want to make a collection tape pages, and depending on the matching slug, it's going to go ahead and get that page. So now, like if I go to, you got an extra thing here. Oops. Where did it go? Yeah. So because I want the pages to be dynamic, so we have home. Home should not do that. I'll have to do a check afterwards. Whatever, we'll fix it later. So if you go to pricing, yeah, see, pricing now works, contact works, about works. It would have been nice if I could do the dynamic route within index, so it doesn't show pages. I'm sure there's a way to modify routes. And for now, what I'm going to do is just to not mess with it too much, delete the home from there. Why? Because if we want to go home, we could click remix. So we have, let's refresh. Did I save it? No, I didn't save it. We'll think more about it. So we have our pricing page, our contact page, our about page, and all these pages could be dynamically generated and dynamically populated from Strapi. If you want to go home, it's remix. So I think I'm gonna like finish up here, but before we finish, I'll just do a quick recap. So what we ended up doing is we created two projects. We created our front end, and for our front end, we used remix.run. If you've never played with Remix, Remix is super awesome, and I recommend that you try it out. Remix is a full stack framework to those of you who haven't used Remix, and so you don't need to use a headless CMS like I'm using. You could use Prisma, and you could directly talk to your database. I'm taking the easy route. So our backend here, we ended up using a headless CMS called Strapi, which allowed us to set up our backend really quickly within like 2 minutes. And what we were able to do, for instance, we created this global page, which is responsible for our top navigation, and it's going to be responsible for our footer. And so, for instance, if someone says, Paul, we need to add another menu item to our menu, as a developer, I don't have to do that because I already wrote the logic. So the content manager could like say, I want to name this something else. So I'm going to say Strapi mix, whatever the hell you want to call it. And then I want to add another menu item that will point to a different page. And we're going to say FAQs, whatever, doesn't matter, right? And then this is going to go to FAQs, and it's not external. Save. So now when you take a look at our front end, notice how as a developer, I didn't have to do anything. I refresh. Well, I have to restart my application because I stopped it. Let's see, CD front end, yarn dev. I should set up concurrently and just have a command that starts everything by itself. And let's make sure that our backend is running. Yes, it does. And so now when you take a look at our front end and refresh, look, all those things are updated. You know, the content editor is like, you know what? I don't like the order of the way the nav items appear. So like the editors, like I want FAQs to be first. I want contact to be next. So let's do FAQs first. About's going to be after contacts, and pricing is going to be last. Save my changes. We go refresh, and look at that. It dynamically reordered. So there's like a power of using a headless CMS and playing with stuff. So I'm going to end the stream here for the few of you that hung out with me today. I really appreciate it. At the same time, you're the best because at least I had 2 people or 3 or however many. But at the same time, like if no one's watching, I'll still continue to stream and code. Why? Because it's helping me to work through the process, organize my thoughts, and it's really cool to get stuck. And when you get stuck in public, it's cool for 2 reasons. Number one, you freak out because you're like, people are gonna make fun of you, who cares? But the other part is like people in chat add suggestions like Brad did today. And so it's like a cool group learning experience. And so with that being said, I probably will stream on Sunday. So Friday nights, I'm gonna continue working on this, my own website project. So Friday nights is going to be this chill, let's watch Paul fail at coding. And then Saturdays, I do more open talking head type of thing where people just ask random questions and I answer them. So I stream Friday nights, 8 p.m. CST time, and then Sunday morning, 11 a.m. But with that being said, thank you so much for being super awesome and stopping by, and I will see you all later. Have a good night, everybody. Boop, boop, boop.